the Let's Go Racing Family Podcast, sharing our love for NASCAR, running, and just racing through life.
Hosted by Sebastian, Giovanni, Karen, Tony, and me, Johan.
Each week we'll talk about our view of the world through the lens of racing.
Welcome back to the 2024 season of NASCAR. I mean, this is our 4th year of doing the podcast, I think, right?
4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, this April will be 4 years that we started doing this podcast.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, it's definitely been come a long way. I mean, hearing the intro, our voices sound completely different to what they do now. And going back and looking at some of our old photos that we've
I know you
put
guys
up.
want me to change it, but I actually kind of like it. It's a
Nostalgia.
throwback. It's a little nostalgic, so I think I might keep it like that for a while. But yeah, we are back. Why don't you explain for our listeners and our viewers a little bit of today's the makeup of today's show and how we're recording.
So we are in our home. The current race at Atlanta is going on, although they're currently under red flag, and we're going to be talking about our experience last week because with NASCAR coming back for a new season, there was quite a few interesting things that happened, especially with the Daytona 500, which ended up being a bigger event than we were planning on.
Yeah, for us, it was really the Daytona 800, you know?
Yeah, because we had actually only planned to go to which race, Johan? What was the race that we were normally going to go to?
The Blue-Green Vacation Duels at Daytona.
And for those that are newer to NASCAR, what's significant about the duels?
So basically, Wednesday night is qualifying for the Daytona 500, but qualifying only matters for the first two positions, the pole and the outside pole, or the front row, and then the rest of the field sets the grid for the Blue-Green Vacation Duels at Daytona the next day.
Which basically means if you qualify like 32nd and you're in, I think, Duel 2, if you win Duel 2, you've just gone from 32nd all the way up to 3rd place or 4th place.
So
now
basically
you're in the
the duels sets the grid for the actual Daytona 500.
And here's
from the 3rd position all the way back to the last car.
Yeah.
Now, here's the twist about the Daytona Duels, is that the night before, the Daytona 500 is such a big event that so many cars are trying to enter it, but only 40 cars can enter the race. This year, there are 42 drivers trying to race in the 500. 36 of those are charters, 36 of those are charters. So there's 6 cars trying to race their way in.
So just because you qualify doesn't mean you're getting in.
Like I was saying, there's 6 cars. 2 of them get on speed. They're guaranteed, but 39 for 40.
So Jimmy Johnson was
one
that
of the
had
4
to
cars
get
who had
good position in the duels in order to make the 500.
And what happened?
He was in Duel 1, right? We're watching him in Duel 1, and he's doing pretty well, right?
He's been up there. He was like 3rd at one point. He was pushing. He was racing his way up. And honestly, for 20 to go or 10 to go, I was feeling confident in myself. I was like, Jimmy Johnson's going to make the 500. It's going to be a no sweat. Because also, here's the thing. JJ Yeley on the night of qualifying was the slowest car that actually qualified. So I was confident. Jimmy Johnson was running well until something happened.
And what was it?
Alex Bowman stacked up the field, and it caused
Daniel Hemrick to go up high.
Hemrick to get high, and then I think it was Stenhouse spun him out, and those two collided, and unfortunately
into Dylan, who got into Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson, and then he's down on the apron. Luckily, he didn't have any damage aside from a couple flat spots on his tires, so he has to go on, obviously, get those fixed. But now he's in the back of the pack, and you know who's in front of him?
JJ
Yeley, which makes Jimmy's job a lot harder. And let me just tell you, I wouldn't say I'm a Jimmy fan, like not in the way that I root for him every week, but I was pulling for Jimmy to get into the door. I think everybody else there.
Those were some like stressful last few laps.
Yeah.
Nobody was paying attention to what was going on in the front.
Jimmy was in the back, and it was really a battle between
him and
Jimmy
JJ
Johnson
Yeley.
and JJ Yeley. And it was tough, right, Johan? It was stressful.
It was stressful. I was on the final lap. He was boxed into behind.
He like tucks in behind JJ Yeley, and I'm thinking the same thing.
We're thinking, what is he doing? He's literally last lap. What is he doing? And it was just crazy. And then all of a sudden,
on turn 4, coming by to the start finish line. And here's the thing: there's two basically separate races going on. The one for the win and the one to get in the 500.
Mind you, no one's paying attention for the win.
Which that was the one that made the race the most exciting.
I think we'll get to that a little later after we cover this. But on turn 4, I'm watching they come off of turn 4. But here's the thing: Ross Chastain starting to drop back. So JJ Yeley trying to keep his momentum. He jumps to the outside to try to go around Chastain.
But mind you, nobody's up on the top lane with him, so he's now 3 wide all alone.
Mm-hmm. And also being the slowest car from qualifying, that's not going to do so well, especially with Martin Truex Jr. getting behind Jimmy Johnson and then Johnson pushing Chastain. Johnson at the last second just got by JJ Yeley, and I was so happy.
So that was an exciting way to start Daytona 500 Speed Week for us, right? We didn't get to see qualifying in person, but we did go to the duels, and then we were planning to actually watch the 500 and possibly do a podcast. And then the rain came. So okay, they postponed it to Monday.
I'm a little disappointed.
And we're all disappointed because we were counting on
we
watching
have to go
that.
to work and school, so we're not going to be able to catch the races like
during the day.
They
Or
did-
We
Like
did
they
at
did
least
on
start it at
Sunday.
around 4, so
I know
we
that-
had some time to get
I
home,
know that
but
you
Yeah.
guys were advocating and asking for ways to skip
To
school,
stay
but
home
we
or
were
come
like,
home.
no,
I was
we have to
begging.
go to
I
work.
just wanted to stay home. I didn't want to deal with school, especially on the day of the Daytona 500.
So, okay.
Big silver lining comes in the middle of the night, though, to Dad.
Yeah, so I get an email from a contact that we have with that works with NASCAR, and basically had invited us if we were available because of the shift in the date. There were some available suite passes, possibly, and of course, I was like, if that can happen, let's do it. And so, absolutely, we went ahead and we said, yeah, we'll do it. We'll be there.
Something crazy about that Monday of the 500 was that I was not expecting to go to the Daytona 500 at all. I went to school like it was a normal day, and the Daytona 500 was gonna be after on TV. And here's the crazy thing. And here's another thing. I was gonna watch the Xfinity race in class on my school computer. Oh, a crash just happened.
Dang, Harvick is gone.
Oh,
Sorry, we're
Josh
watching
Berry.
the Atlanta race right
We're
now.
watching the end of the race. It was
12
12 to
Elliott
go.
down
Oh,
2.
no.
Harvick got tagged, or sorry, I'm still behind. Barry tagged into Hocevar, and
And
oh,
we-
that's why you kept saying
I was
Harvick?
like, Harvick,
I'm like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm
Harvick?
sorry,
Is
I
he
forgot he
comments?
retired.
Harvick is calling the race. But yeah, Chase Elliott is probably, well, he got his car going. There's checkers or
But
wreckers.
This is the second time that he's like gotten into a wreck. In
But
the last
guys,
few laps.
I'm not going to lie. Who's in second?
Daniel Suarez.
That man right here, Daniel
Monterrey,
Suarez.
Mexico.
Okay.
Hey, he's Xfinity Series champion for a reason.
So I'm watching this as we're talking and recapping Daytona, and I'm getting a little distracted. So, but it's all good. It's all good. So, what we were saying, we were talking about our Daytona experience, how we got this
we
unexpected
got to go to the
invitation.
Daytona 500.
And we were not planning, but then we ended up going to the Daytona 500, the biggest race of the year. And not only did we get to go, we went into the suites. And we not only went to a suite, we went into NASCAR suite.
No pun intended, but that was pretty sweet.
It was.
It
That
was
to be
a
in-
very
No, but
incredible
It was a
experience.
beautiful experience. I loved it.
It was awesome. It
You-
was
to
it-
watch it from up there, and we got the view. The entire like front stretch of the track was just amazing to see.
You
the
could
cars.
you could see him. You could literally follow through with a camera, just watch him go through 1 and 2, go on the backstretch 3 and 4, and come through the tri-oval. And it was cool too because those things are still loud, and you only got a glass window in front of you, so you still hear and still feel the rumble. You feel it like even that you're high up. It's incredible.
It was awesome. I will say we've been into the suite. This is actually our third time going the suite. The first time we went, it was during the Pepsi. Oh my
The
goodness,
Coke
the
Zero
Coke
Sugar.
Zero Sugar 400. When you met
Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall, and you had that interview. But we were there
But we
in and
didn't
out.
really-
we didn't really get to watch
go
the race.
into the suites.
Then
Your very
last
first
year,
suite experience was in Charlotte.
yes, that was our first suite experience. But at Daytona, we went again last year during also the Coke Zero Sugar 400, but it was kind of in and out, got some food, went back to our seats. This time, from the get-go, it was intended for all of us to just sit there and watch the race. And it was surreal for me because you had like the president of NASCAR was
Like, just-
in the suite. We had celebrities who Sebastian's going to talk about in a second. And then we also had
The president
drivers.
of NASCAR.
the former president
Oh, we really?
of NASCAR. Remember?
Oh, you're right.
The one that we met in.
I forgot.
Yes.
in Homestead.
Do you remember his name?
It's not Bill France,
Steve,
right?
Steve Phelps.
No, Steve Phelps is the current president of NASCAR. No, it was Mr. Helton. Remember?
Oh, Mike
yeah,
Helton.
yeah.
Mike
Wait, we
Helton.
met him?
Well, we
Yes.
met him. We interviewed him in
Homestead.
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 But he was in the suite. You guys might not have seen him, but he was sitting like behind us. And here's the funny thing. I knew who he was, but I got my names mixed up. As
Oh, my
Johan
God.
would say, what do you say when I mix up things? You said it today. I was mixing things up. I'm a boomer, even though I'm not a boomer. And no offense to any boomers out there, but my son is basically saying I'm a lot older than I really am because I'm already forgetting and confusing people's
You don't
names.
know how to use a remote.
So I didn't know how to use a remote earlier today. So the point is, I see Mr. Helton, and I knew who he was because we had met him, and he's been in charge of NASCAR for years. I think he's still part of NASCAR. Obviously, he was at the 500. And I go past his table, and I'm like, "Hi, Mr. France." He is not a France. I know that. But I just was like, he didn't respond. And I was like, well, it's kind of loud. The race is going on. You know, there's a lot of people talking, coming and going or whatever. And he's
I'm
like,
hoping
who's
he
this
didn't
jokester?
hear you.
That's what I'm hoping.
I'm
So
hoping.
if you ever see this, I know who you are. I know how important you are to the history of the sport. I apologize. I didn't mix you up with a France. I don't know. It
It was
came
probably
out.
the hot dogs. It was probably the hot dog bar. It said Bill France on it.
Since
Yeah, the
your
Bill
dad
France hot
came up to
dogs.
me and said, "Oh, Bill France is behind us, sitting behind us," so
don't know why I said
knew
that.
who the gentleman with the mustache was that was sitting at the other table. So I knew that's not who he was talking about. But there was an older gentleman sitting on the top bar right behind the seats. And so I thought that was Bill France, Junior, or whatever. And so I told Sebastian, I'm like, or no, you, Gio. Was it you, Gio?
It was me.
I was like, Gio, don't look. Be nonchalant. But Bill France is sitting right behind
See,
us.
here's the thing, though. I wasn't paying attention, and I hear the president of NASCAR's behind. I'm like, Mike.
See, this is Mike Helton.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is who
He's
was
the
in
one-
our suite.
he's the
Okay,
one that was in
I'm
the
gonna put
suite,
it up
and-
on the
and I knew
podcast
that
here.
He was not
And
Bill
I
France.
and I know Mike Helton. Like I've as long as I've watched it, I know who he is. But I literally said hi. I was just trying to be polite. I was like, man, we're in the NASCAR suite. Thank you, Mr. France. Is what came out. So I'm like you, Karen. I really hope he didn't even hear me,
I hope
or
so.
he was just like, "Who's this jokester? Why did we let these people into the suite?" But he didn't say anything. He was doing his thing. Other people were there. So okay, let's get to a couple of celebrities. Who did you see, Sebastian? And explain to our audience how this all happened.
Yes.
Okay, so there is an amazing food like buffet. They had the Bill France hot dogs, which are staple of the NASCAR suites, and there was all these food options. And so as soon as we sat down, I went immediately to go get some food.
Of course.
And while I was serving my food, in comes one of the guests. And he's with some people, and he's talking, and he comes over, and I look, and I realized that's Michael Rooker.
Did you do a double take?
I
Like,
was-
were you like, oh my word?
With your plate of food.
Yes, I was like, oh my word, it's Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's here to watch the race. And he even approached me, and I was kind of freezing up. I was like, is this happening? Is this happening? And
starstruck.
I mean, I introduced I introduced myself. I shook his hand, and I even got a picture with him, like right then and there. And it's like, what?
I think he probably was impressed that you even knew who he was. But why does it make sense that he was at the Daytona 500?
Because he played Rowdy Burns in Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
Days of Thunder, baby. Yes. And it's so funny. We have a friend of the podcast, Matt, who's listened to the podcast for years. I've known him, and his love of NASCAR, and we've actually gone to duels and 500s together. He was telling me earlier in the week that when the race had changed over the weekend to Monday, he was going to watch Days of Thunder to get himself psyched up for the race. And lo and behold, during the 500, we meet Rowdy Burns. Like I was like unbelievable. Of course, I sent him a picture of us with him. So, but he could not have been nicer.
Oh,
and
he was very
he was
nice.
really
Very
cool,
nice.
and he was actually watching the race. he like disappeared right in the middle of the race for like
I was like, oh
70
man,
laps.
he left and we weren't able to say hello and get a family picture.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is
I
gonna
was
be our
bummed.
Christmas
I was
photo.
like, oh man, another celebrity that just comes and goes mid-race.
But no, we come to find out when you're there, and obviously certain people, they get invited to the roof of
Where,
the
like, the
stands
spotters are.
where all the spotters are
So you
to
get-
watch the race.
So
like
he
the
got to
peak view.
watch the end of the race from the very top outside.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
He made me proud. He stayed 500 miles for the Daytona
did.
500.
And he came back down and took a picture with the whole family.
Yes,
and it
and
was really
we
nice.
were able to like introduce ourselves and
It was wild.
He took a
Yeah.
picture with us, so
And
that was very
then-
nice.
And he was wearing a jacket of Rowdy Burns. He said, I
Yes.
think that
It
was,
was the mellow yellow one from
I
the
told
movie.
him, I said, I love your jacket, and he goes, "Why, thank you." He's like, "This is 30 years old."
Yeah, that was like a piece of cinema history that he was wearing at the Daytona 500. You could not ask for a cooler experience, a cooler celebrity, a more appropriate celebrity to me.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. But we also met somebody else.
That's right. His name is Daniel Dye, and he is a NASCAR driver. But before we get to that story, because it's actually kind of a funny and cool story, we are watching literally the last laps of this year's Atlanta race with 5 to go. Blaney is in first, and we have Suarez in second, and he is being pushed. So we are going to watch the rest of this race and hopefully bring you our live reaction to the actual race. So take us through it, guys.
Blaney's covering the top right now.
Oh,
Bush got
Bush.
real squirmy off the bottom.
Bush got loose.
And who is
Dude,
that?
Blaney-
Who's pushing
yeah,
Suarez?
Kyle
Suarez
Busch is
right
pushing
behind
him.
him.
Oh,
Suarez-
there goes
he's
Suarez.
on top.
Going up.
He's on top.
Oh.
Truex is going to get real
Truex
close
is
to the
in
wall. Blaney's going to have a really hard
does
time
Suarez
defending
have a
Suarez.
run?
Ooh.
He's gonna
No,
cut
he's
bottom,
gonna have
bottom,
to.
bottom.
He's gonna have to watch for
Back to the
Kyle
top.
because
He's
Kyle's
gonna
gonna
have
have a
to
really
stay-
good
get
run
back
now.
to the bottom.
4
Get back
to
to the
go,
bottom.
guys.
Three to go. Three to go. Three to go now.
3 to go.
Oh, he's gonna go top now. He's gonna go top, but
I
he's gonna
think-
have Bush behind him.
I think he should stay behind
not-
Blaney and then make a move towards the end.
I don't know. Blaney.
He's
is a
going
good
for it,
blocker.
I think.
Because if he tries to,
Oh,
Chastain.
Dude, Ross is on the lead lap
Guys,
now.
I
this
know.
is what a
Suarez.
Oh my God,
finish.
Suarez is right behind.
There
him.
goes
He's gonna take it
Suarez.
to the wall.
Blaney is blocking him.
Come
So
on,
close to
Suarez.
the wall.
Oh, wow.
He's gonna do
They're
a
coming
swing.
off to the front stretch for
2 to go.
Now, guys, remember
gosh, dude.
what Chastain did
Oh.
to Blaney at the during the championship race.
Yeah.
There is no love lost between the Trackhouse drivers
Kyle
and
Busch.
Blaney.
Here
Oh,
comes
Bush
Kyle
got a really
Busch.
good run off the bottom there.
I think the
Is
top.
that Bubba or
That's Bubba in like the bright blue car. the
Everybody
teal.
watch the
I'm
caution
thinking that
light.
outside line is
That
going
outside
to
line's
get a
about to get
push.
a really
Yeah,
good
I'm
charge,
worried
but
with-
Chastain.
I'm worried with
Blaney
Cendric.
needs to pick.
1 to go, guys. 1 to
Cendric
go.
behind Suarez.
Somebody's up top.
does Ryan Blaney hold them off, or does Daniel Suarez or Kyle Busch get a chance?
He's
Do
getting
we
out a
even
bit
get a white
far.
flag?
He's getting out a bit far, and Suarez is going to get a push here.
Uh-oh.
So is Bush.
1 to go, guys. This is the last lap.
I think
If
Blaney's gonna have to
Suarez is going
decide
to
who to
need a
defend.
push, and I don't know if he's
I don't know
going
if
to get it,
Cindric's
but
going to
here
give
we
it to
go.
him because that's Blaney, his teammate.
Oh,
Cindric.
Cindric, if he can just give him a push.
Oh, Bush is
Oh,
out of the way.
Bush.
Bush is out. I mean, Blaney's out of the way. Blaney.
Oh,
Oh,
Bush
Suarez
is
on
going
3
3
wide.
wide. Oh my
Come
gosh,
on,
guys.
Suarez.
Guys,
Oh,
they're going to
look at
wreck.
the sticks.
Come on,
Suarez
Daniel.
has got it.
Suarez.
Suarez.
Oh my word,
Oh,
guys.
The Suarez have it.
Suarez.
Oh!
Blaney,
Who got it?
Blaney,
Anyone?
Suarez.
No, Suarez!
Yes!
Woo, we
Did Daniel
saw it
Suarez
again.
just get this? He won.
He
Guys,
won.
did he win?
What a
They're,
heat.
they're ruling it, but
Guys, stop. This was literally like the finish
What a heat
of
to the
cars.
line.
Of cars.
Oh, wait,
Like,
oh
Guys,
my
guys, here it is.
I thought
They're
it was
showing the
Blaney.
replay.
No. Oh.
Hold on,
Where's
Suarez.
Suarez?
He's going to be on the inside right here, or the outside. Oh, God.
Oh, he did it. He did it. He won.
no,
he won.
I don't know. That might
Oh,
have
dang.
Suarez won.
God, that's Suarez, guys.
Suarez won.
Suarez got his second
What a dead
career
heat.
win.
That's
What a dead heat.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Oh,
Yes, baby.
oh my God.
Suarez.
That could not have been a better finish.
What
He's going
an
to the playoffs.
What an end.
Okay, is
guys.
that the closest finish in NASCAR?
Oh
Did we just
my
witness
word.
that?
that look closer.
I don't know. There's been some
Guys,
close ones.
that
no,
looks
that,
like
that's
Ricky
the
no,
Craven.
that
closest
was
in
like
history.
literally a
That's the closest in
smidgen.
history.
A
That's like Ricky
smidgen.
Craven.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
Wow,
That
guys.
was-
Holy crap.
Suarez, baby.
He pulled that off.
There you go. Suarez, we had it for you, man. We had your helmet right
Oh
here.
my goodness.
3-1.
How exciting.
Bro,
That was
he
one of the
picked
best.
it. He planned that perfectly.
Yo, we got to
Go
do
up
another
top.
one of our reaction videos. This one's even more exciting.
Dude, go up top for it. Oh my gosh.
Guys,
Daniel
oh my
Suarez.
gosh.
Wow.
2024
Look at this.
Atlanta win.
Look at this run. Okay,
What a run. I didn't
They
think
went
he
really
had
Blaney
it
did
here.
a
wide.
really bad block, and he gave Bush just enough push.
And then Bubba.
Blaney, look, Suarez did that on his
Yo,
own too. He
Suarez
has
did a
no
great
push.
job. He did a great job sticking it and holding it right there.
Oh,
I thought
Look,
they
look,
were-
look. I thought they were gonna wreck right
Look,
here.
it's
Look,
touch,
he's
touch,
bouncing
touch,
off of.
I thought Blaney had
Guys.
it.
He's
Oh my
bouncing
God, I
off
thought
of
it was
Bush.
Blaney.
Yeah,
I
look,
swear.
Blaney looks like he's ahead.
Dude, he looks like he's
I thought
ahead
it
there,
was
but like
Blaney.
you get that close up and
No,
Suarez got
like
it.
even in
Oh
live
my
action, I
God.
was like, look,
Guys, this is craziness.
That's gotta be
Whew,
the closest
that is-
finish in history.
that
This
is
is-
closer than
Look at
Ricky
that!
Craven and
Bush.
Kurt
Yeah,
Bush.
guys,
that
this
may
is
even be
way
closer than
closer.
Reddick in
Suarez,
2019.
baby. Oh my goodness,
Oh my
guys.
God.
There you go.
Ah,
There you
that's
go.
I was you know
awesome.
what's crazy? Before we started this episode, I was like, this guy's got to get a win, otherwise he's gonna have some seat troubles, and he just does this.
Well, he ain't gonna have seat
Oh my
troubles
God.
now. His-
And he's good in this track.
Guys.
Last year, he finished second.
Finished
Guys,
second,
he is
yeah.
not just a road course driver. He is a driver to win at a restrictor plate or I know
Draft
it's
track.
a
Dude, you
draft
gotta see.
track.
track.
Have you never seen his clips in Xfinity? And
I know,
he got his
no.
first win against Kyle
Hey,
Busch at
this
Kansas.
is-
He had to
wasn't
beat him
this
for it.
his championship helmet?
Yeah.
Yes,
When he
in
won in
Xfinity.
Xfinity. So we know the guy's got talent, and for whatever reason, he's not had the best of luck. But I can't be happier for Suarez. I
Oh
think
my goodness.
this validates him being in there. Is that Julia?
Yeah, that's Julian.
Here's what I thought. I thought he was gonna get pinned by Kyle Busch
Dude.
and Ryan Blaney.
You know what? I got a lot of
Oh,
respect for
God.
Bush. and I got a lot
Kyle
of-
Busch does not have a happy face on.
Yeah, but
No,
you
he
know
does
what
not.
though? You know what? I've seen this happen before where drivers that close and they start wrecking into each other to keep them from losing or whatever. And they didn't do that. These three came 3 wide to the finish.
Clean
What?
Well,
race.
him and Bush
We just
Yo,
watched
touched a
history,
little bit.
guys.
This is that was okay. You talk about the difference between Xfinity and trucks, and no like discredit to any of them, but they were crashing last
Oh,
year in all the other series, and they went 3 wide to the line, no wreck, just bouncing off each other. That was an
Yo,
incredible
guys, I
finish.
got friends of mine that know that we're NASCAR fans. I got my
Holy
uncle.
crap,
My Uncle
dude.
Jeff, shout out to you.
There's the pinata. Bring it out,
One of the
Suarez.
reasons why I'm such a big NASCAR fan, my Uncle Jeff. And he's just texted me, what a finish. He was asking if we were even there. But no, we weren't.
Oh
we're
my
actually
God.
here watching this. But what an exciting
Suarez
finish
is going to the playoffs.
for Suarez and Team
Wow.
Trackhouse. I could not have asked for a better finish for us to watch and record.
Whew. I am-
That was awesome.
oh,
Hats
that's
off to
really bad.
Blaney and Bush. Did we just lose
We
our
just lost the
flags?
flag. They're in the pool now.
Oh, they're in the pool.
They're like, Daniel Suarez won
Oh,
it.
we
We
lost
got-
them
we
for
got-
the red. Look at that.
There you go, Suarez, celebrating you. Oh, you guys, that's chlorine. We need to pull that out.
Hold on,
All right,
hold on,
we're
let me
gonna
get that.
take a pause to pull the flags out of the
Oh,
pool.
my
It is
word.
getting
Where
windy
did this
out
wind
here.
Real
come
windy.
from?
What a finish.
5 minutes later.
Yo, guys, I don't know how I'm supposed to edit that because we were all screaming into our mics out of excitement. But what a finish, and how significant historically it is for NASCAR and also for Daniel Suarez. I know that we had mentioned earlier that you thought he's got to do something this season
Yeah,
to
otherwise he was gonna
solidify
be on
his
the hot
ride.
seat.
Well, guess what? What did we just say, Johan? He's in the playoffs.
He's in the playoffs. And I think you look back on Blaney, he can get hot at the right time and win a championship.
Yeah, so it's anything can happen, but the fact that he's already in the playoffs and why Sebastian is one of the reasons why we're so excited for Daniel.
Because Daniel Suarez, he's a diverse driver.
Yeah,
And to see him succeed in this sport is great. And it also, he connects with us.
yeah, like literally, like Johan and I met him and had a really good time talking with him and just got to spend some time where you get to know him a little bit and how cool he is and how nice he was.
He was my amigo that day.
Yeah, he was. And we were so excited for him. So anyway, the reason I say that, it's about the way that we connected with Daniel Suarez on a number of levels. And I think he's just an awesome guy. And that's the cool thing about NASCAR. You meet these drivers and you really become, fans because of not just what they do on the track, but how they are off the track. Well, we actually had the chance to meet somebody unexpectedly in our Daytona 500 experience. And what happened was we were watching the 500, right? And there's a bunch of people like Mike Helton, not Bill France or Bill France Jr. or any of the Frances, who I confused. But Mike Helton was there, president of NASCAR. We had Michael Rooker there. We had the pilots that flew, the Thunderbirds. They came in. We got a cool photo op.
They were all really cool, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
they were just very personable people. We went up to them, took a photo, and they were asked a couple questions. They were just really nice. They seem to be very down to earth people, despite flying in the air.
Being the real Top Guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real Top Gun. So we're watching the race, and there was this young guy who was sitting at one of the tabletops, and he saw me messing with the Ray-Bans that I have that we use for the podcast, which record. They have cameras, it has a little light or whatever, and he started talking to me about it and asking me, and I was just telling him about it, how I loved it. We used it for things. I showed him a couple videos because he was wondering how good the resolution came through, and I was like, "Oh no, this stuff is awesome! Look!" And he was impressed by that. And then at the time,
then we all walked up to the table,
the rest
and
of the
so
family,
Tony introduced us.
yeah,
and
I'm like, "Oh, these are my boys. This is my wife. We do a podcast. Like, oh, that's awesome, and that's awesome. You guys are doing this for the sport." And we're like, "Yeah, man, we love NASCAR." And then
I
this
noticed
guy
something.
over here,
I noticed something, and I'm like, I gotta ask. I always have to ask. I have a lot of questions, so I always gotta ask him. He's wearing a jacket, and it has the Colleague Racing logo on it. Like on the chest up here. And he also has a bottle that's Circle, which is a Colleague sponsor.
And he
with
had
the
a lot of
sticker on it.
NASCAR knowledge
And he
because we
knew
were
a
talking
lot about
it.
the sport. And I had to ask him, I was like, what's your affiliation with Colleague? Because I just assumed he was talking to Dad about the glasses and stuff. And I was like, oh, he probably is like the social media manager for the account. And he's like, oh yeah, I am. I'm driving the 10 car tonight after the 500. And my eyes bug out. I'm like,
we all bugged out. We were like, what?
and he's like,
I'm
yeah.
like
he pulls up his thing and he's like, yeah, I'm Daniel Dye. And it says NASCAR driver, Craftsman Truck Series, Daniel Dye. And I'm like, oh my God. And I look him up on Instagram, and lo and behold, it's him. He was driving the 10 car. He has a part-time season. I think he's running 10 races in the 10 car this season. And
In
Daytona
Xfinity.
was one of them. In Xfinity, he's a full-time truck driver, drives a 43. Actually just got his first pole 2 days ago for Atlanta.
Yeah.
But that was really cool to get to meet him. And it was just kind of a surprise. I ended up asking him kind of like, what did you do to get into racing and stuff? And he told me about it, and he said a lot of really nice things. He was like, just talk to me
Gave
on
you
Instagram.
good advice.
He gave me good nice advice and was like, talk to me on Instagram, and once you have iRacing, we can get together and try to practice and race together. And I was like, holy crap, that's cool. So yeah, Daniel Dye was a surprise guest to meet.
It was awesome, and
It was an incredible experience for our family who just planned to watch the Daytona 500, from our couch to actually be there
because part
and
of it.
experience it all.
Part of it is we wanted to kind of do what we did tonight, which was like record the podcast while we're watching NASCAR
And then react to the finish.
So we're like, we've been very fortunate the last few years to go to 2-3 in a row Daytona 500s. We're like, all right, this year we got other races we want to go to. If we don't go to the 500, let's at least go to the duels, get the year started off right, and then we ended up having the most incredible Daytona 500 experience we could have ever had. We could not have started this year even more. Like, just think about this. We literally watched 800 miles of racing on Monday. And just now, we just watched one of our favorite drivers who we've met. He knows who we are. We've got his autographed helmet here from when he was a Xfinity champion. And he won. And what an exciting way to start the season.
Very exciting.
Hopefully this season is going to be good. Last season was great. Season before that was awesome. The next gen car has delivered some pretty good racing, aside from the short tracks. But hopefully they can fix that for this year. But yeah, looking forward to another great season of NASCAR. I think it's going to be a good one. So,
And with that, Gio, why don't you take us out?
absolutely. Yeah, thanks for watching, listening on in. You can check all of our socials at Let's Go Racing Family and continue listening to the podcast. Share with your friends. And Let's Go Racing Family, out.